Hi, I'm Pelipper, and this is ChunkManOnly, my one chunk at a time Ironman account. Unless you've seen Pookaguy's videos, you probably don't know what that is yet, so let me explain. The entire RuneScape map is split into map tiles, or chunks. My account starts in the first chunk in Lumbridge where you arrive after Tutorial Island. I'm not allowed to leave the chunk or interact with anything outside of the chunk, and in order to progress my account, I must access all of the content within the chunk. In the first chunk, as an example, I must chop a yew tree and fletch and burn a yew log, among other things. Once I've accessed all of the content in the chunk, I choose a new chunk to unlock, and the cycle repeats. The goal of this account is to unlock the entire RuneScape map. These episodes will have a lot of focus on trying to find the best path, the fastest way for my account to unlock the whole map. I plan to take a lot of ideas from viewers so we can work together to find the best way to move forward. I hope you all enjoy the series. A quick note before we get started, there's a lot of specifics to the rules of this account, and if you're interested in learning them, I made a separate video going over the rules in heavy detail. A link will be in the description. Now that we have the cliche Iron Man series intro out of the way, let's get started. Upon leaving Tutorial Island and dropping all of my items, I had to figure out exactly what I needed to do in order to progress to a new chunk. As it turns out, there's quite a few things to do in this first chunk, most of which are pretty easy, but a few of them are time consuming. I'll start with the skilling and item requirements. Since there's a yew tree accessible in the very southern part of this chunk, I had to chop a yew log, and burn and fletch a yew log. I also have to equip a mithril battle axe and a bronze square shield. There's 4 quest start locations in this chunk: Cook's Assistant, Restless Ghost, Rune Mysteries, and X marks the spot. For Restless Ghost and Rune Mysteries, I just have to start the quests. For Cook's Assistant, I need to get a pot of flour and an egg to give to the chef. I can get these from rare drops from imps. X marks the spot, there's a few parts of the clue that I can complete, but I can't finish the whole thing. Lastly, there are a few achievement diary tasks that I can complete. They're all fairly easy. I just need to talk to hands to get my age, chop and burn a yew log, and pickpocket a man or a woman. So now that I knew what I needed to do, I got to work. The first thing I did was pickpocket men for money to buy a bronze axe from Bob. I then got my woodcutting to 6, went back to pickpocketing men for a little while, and bought a steel axe. This would be the best axe I could unlock, so I had a long grind ahead of me. Other than taking short breaks to do the other small requirements or get my free runes from the magic tutor, I spent a few days chopping trees and fletching and burning the logs. I killed imps whenever I saw them as I was woodcutting. The pot of flour and egg drops took me a while to get. At the end of the grind, I had over 100k in cash from selling my fletched bows to the general store. Now that I had completed the first chunk, it was time to make the first big decision on the account. Which chunk is next? Before we start talking about other chunks though, there's one very important detail about the first chunk that I haven't mentioned yet. It's a little bit of a pickle, although it actually isn't a pickle because it's an onion. There's an onion spawn upstairs in the Lumbridge general store. Why? I have no idea. There's also something you can cook called a fried onion with 42 cooking. So this means as soon as I unlock a consistently repeatable training method for cooking, I need to get 42 cooking. There are 4 accessible chunks that I can choose to unlock next. Before I talk about them though, let's remind ourselves of our goal. Since we want to unlock every chunk in the game, we want to try prioritizing unlocking decent training methods for every skill as fast as possible, without being stuck in a long, unnecessary grind because we chose the wrong path. Now let's go over each of our 4 potential chunks in detail. We'll talk about what I need to do to complete each chunk, and what I would unlock. We'll number the chunks 1 through 4, starting with the north chunk and moving clockwise. So starting with chunk number 1, there's cows, chickens, potatoes, and a hops patch. I would need to get the bucket of milk for Cook's Assistant, 42 cooking, and 10 crafting with balls of wool to make crossbow strings out of sinew made from beef. I could get the cooking level by cooking raw chicken until level 25 and making stews until 42. Stews require cooked meat as well as potatoes, and conveniently, there's a leprechaun right next to the potato patch in this chunk. I could use the leprechaun to note the potatoes. In chunk number 2, the important thing to see here is the gem stall. In this stall, there's a stock of uncut sapphires and emeralds. If I unlocked this chunk, I would need to get 27 crafting with wool or cutting sapphires that I'd have to get through world hopping competing with bots. That doesn't sound like something that I want to do. In chunk 3, there's a shrimp and anchovy fishing spot and a copper and tin mining spot. If I unlocked this chunk, I would need to get 42 cooking from cooking shrimp and 15 fishing to fish anchovies. This would also unlock a consistently repeatable training method for mining, as well as smithing. But the smithing method I want to unlock is smelting bronze bars at the Lumbridge furnace, giving 6.2 XP each. In chunk 4, there's a tree patch, giant rats, and the ham hideout. I need to get 42 cooking by cooking raw rat meat. I would also need to get 20 thieving to steal from the male ham members. The ham members give some notable drops, like new best in slot gear, leather bodies, and steel pickaxes. They also drop uncut opals and jades, meaning I need to get 13 crafting to cut a jade. They also drop iron ore and coal, which will be important in our decision making process. So far, we've ruled out chunk 2 and need to decide between the remaining 3. Remember that the other 3 chunks would all require us to get 42 cooking because of the onion. Chunk 1 would have us cooking raw meat until 25 and then making stews. Chunk 3 would have us cooking shrimps and anchovies, and chunk 4 would have us cooking rat meat. Cooking rat meat would take a long time, while stews or shrimps would be more reasonable. So since we want to unlock all these chunks by the end anyway, there's no reason to do the chunk with rat meat. So we can rule out chunk 4. Remember that ham members drop iron and coal. They're not the only thing nearby to give us a supply of ore, but they're the closest. If we unlocked chunk 3, we would unlock a consistently repeatable, but extremely slow method of training smithing. Which means if we unlock that chunk, and then another one later with access to iron and coal, we'd have to get 30 smithing by smelting bronze bars for 6.2 XP each. That's not something I want to do even a little bit, so that rules out chunk 3. And with that, we've got our next chunk. Our goals are 42 cooking for the fried onion, 10 crafting for the crossbow string, 10 thieving to steal from farmers, and finishing cook's assistant. This chunk didn't take nearly as long as the last one. I got 10 thieving quickly from men, and the cooking only took a few hours. Sharing the sheep and making wool was annoying, but also fast. I quickly found myself choosing another new chunk. I noticed that the chunk that is west of the one I had just chosen doesn't have much content at all except for the sheep shearer quest start. All I'd have to do for that chunk was give Farmer Fred 20 balls of wool. So I went ahead and unlocked that chunk and gave him the wool to complete the quest. From here, I had a ton of options about what to choose next. I started thinking to myself, how great would it be if I could unlock Port Sarim? If I unlock the charter boat, I have so many potential new chunks to unlock, so many options of places to access. So I started thinking about the fastest way for me to get to Port Sarim. To get there, I'd need to continue going west. If I went west again, I'd unlock the Draenor sewers, which contains an anvil. But if I were to unlock any anvil, I'd really want it to be something close to a bank. So I decided I wanted to get to the Varrock anvil first. This would require going north, which would unlock guards. Pickpocketing guards requires 40 thieving, and if I was to do this, I would need to do it with farmers. Unless I unlocked ham members first, which would be faster. So I had the plan for the immediate future. Go west of Lumbridge Castle to ham members, get 40 thieving, then go north on the way to the anvil. So I unlocked the chunk, got 20 thieving, 13 crafting, and I cut a jade. I also got the leather body and steel pickaxe, which were new best in slot items. I completed the chunk. And that's where episode 1 ends. I haven't unlocked the next chunk yet. There's so many things to think about when unlocking Varrock, and I have a feeling I'm missing something. I really don't want to be stuck in a slow grind I didn't anticipate. So as of now, I'm thieving from ham members and raking the tree patch for passive farming XP. I'm 31 thieving so far, and still second guessing my plan. I really want this series to be something I do together with the viewers. So post a comment with any ideas you have. or if there's any grinds I'm not anticipating on my way to Port Sarim. There's no way I can consider every possibility on my own, so your input is crucial to this series going well. Thanks so much for watching. Please leave the video a like if you enjoyed it, and make sure to subscribe. It'd help me out and you won't miss the next episode. I hope you all have a great day.